Oh, thobela bageshu. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Are you there? Are you there? We are here. Thank you so much for coming through. We can see you guys. Bakaiba to today. Um, uh, Spotlight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Um, we wow, it's our last day today. But I'll explain later what does that mean. And please come through. Tell me, just signal if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, guys? I am here. I can hear myself. Guys, can you hear me? Lebza, Josie, are you there? Aaron, are you there, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Um, yes. Uh, thank you guys for tuning in. We are here. We are live. The producers talk, the finale, and we just want to say thank you again. Thank you again. Thank you again for coming through. And Lishab Machitane. Where's Aaron? Aaron is
Like
Aaron
around
is Aaron is zooming in a Zoom. He's zooming whilst we are
yeah.
zooming through our Zoom. Hey, matot. Hayi kunzima emhlabeni matot. Thank you guys for coming through. We see you. I can see people. Okay, cool. All of you can hear me. Let's go. Let's go. So today's talk buffet 2 is literally run by you guys. Um, Everything that we were talking about today, we really want to hear your comments and how you feel about it, and share your thoughts. And uh, Aaron is sporting a new sponsor. Uh, so yeah, hey, it's happening here. Aaron is hitting us with backgrounds every day. So um, so today we want to talk about music awards. Yep, music awards. One of the things that we want to talk about is the origins. We want to talk about theological relevance. We want to talk about general importance of awards. We want to talk about production issues, adjudication issues, recommendations, anything related to music awards. And I think I need to put a disclaimer today that um, please be aware that whatever we say or whatever we maybe a thought that will come through is not really aiming at attacking anyone or their productions or whatnot. We are just talking in general and how we feel, and one of the things that we think things can be done differently. And we are just in an open space, and obviously during talks like this, maybe some other things might be said and it might sound like we are talking about someone, but we are not. We are just talking in general, and we are fixing each other, making sure that we sharpen our talents and our production skills, and just generally making sure that our music industry grows and it becomes amazing. We always see things happening outside at higher level and whatnot. The productions are in order and all of that. and we have quite a lot, and obviously others are coming up. I saw there was a new one that was on Twitter now. I think it's Twitter Music Awards or something, or Gospel Twitter Awards, something like that. So it's growing, it's getting there. We're in a lockdown, so I think we can talk about. I mean, the whole aim or the point about the producers talk generally. What we wanted to achieve was to just to bring out discussions, share information, and receive information as well for ourselves, the three of us that are here, and share whatever our experiences as well, and how we feel about other issues and all of that, and just get your opinion. So today, again, we're talking about music awards, the origins, theological relevance, is it scriptural? That the saints should receive awards for the work of the Lord. You know, we are in the space. Am I right, guys?
Yeah, I think we are
Yeah,
going into the deep.
yeah, we're going into the deep today. Is it scriptural Hurbaina should receive awards from Mbereko wa Modimo na? You know, um, theological relevance, general importance, PR importance, production issues, adjudication issues, recommendations. We are in that space. Hit me up. Today it's your talk. Let's hear. I'll give the guys just to share whatever way they want us to start, whatever they have in their minds with this topic. But let's go. I mean, there's really deep issues that we're gonna outline as well. Thoughts, things that we've been seeing happening that are not making us happy or that are making us happy, and all of that. Josie, you wanna open up?
I heard there's a
Thank you, man.
birthday. Do you want to start there?
Oh wait! I didn't even recognize our partners. LT Branding doing our social media, Basilia Media doing our graphics, and Crochet Music doing our audios and all of that. Thank you guys for your support, and all those on Ocrio Radio. We are here. I know you can hear us, and we can hear you in spirit. Stay tuned in. We are here, and today is a birthday. One of our friends, one of our full-time supporters, as supporting Impela, someone who's been here from day one, I think day two or so. Reginald Jabu Nkosi Sibonga ngisho.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
his
yeah,
birthday.
yeah.
Happy birthday, bro. If there was a piano close, we could do something for you. But hey, we don't have a cash today, so we'll get you a cash and then do a thing, a crappy tent, just for your
As we
birthday.
put it,
Yeah, we'll do a crappy birthday song for you, my brother. You deserve one. Happy birthday, bro. So let's go. Josie, Music Awards.
Yeah.
Where would you like to start?
I wouldn't know where to start, but I guess one would start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. My suspicion, of course, I'm not really researched on music awards. I don't know where they started from, but I understand that most people tend to the idea of people getting recognition for their works and for excellence is an age-old idea. In fact, one might argue that it was inspired by the biblical idea that at the end of time we are going to receive crowns. You know, Jesus speaks of a crown of life, crown of righteousness, and I think 3 other crowns, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, I guess there's a sense in which from that idea, one there's a line that Timothy Keller likes referencing when he talks about esteem, self-esteem. He says, when you get a praise from people you hold in high esteem, that's what builds your self-esteem. The praise of the praiseworthy is kind of the affirmation that gives you an idea that you are on the right track. So sometimes you get one compliment from random people and they're like, hey man, Paul, you are amazing, or Lebo, you are, but when when you hear it from someone you take seriously and somebody who's a peer or somebody who understands what you're doing, who understands the complexity that goes into just doing a thing like that, it really, I guess, sometimes creates a thing in you. So I'm just now speculating on where I think awards could have come from, and I'm not sure. I haven't studied on that. It's just but the idea, I know that the initial early recognition that is in record is well, there's always been recognitions for Men of War. There would be statues in the Olympics. They had the original Olympics in Greece. They had that crown thingy that had that was made of leaves. Yeah, but the official idea of music awards, I really don't know, because I don't even know when music started being put on record. I'm not that researched in music. I don't know. Maybe you guys know.
Lebza?
Well, yeah. So at the moment, I don't really have a specific uh, content, but with the little knowledge that I have, it's what Joseph was saying. It's music awards were put together in order to promote, for example, in South Africa, when RISA put together the South African Music Award, it was more about promoting the local music we have, and then obviously putting recognition to the amount of work that is being put by the local talent, our South African musicians, you know. And I think also having something like that, it helps. I mean, if you are put in a category of maybe nominations of about maybe 5 nominations for best mixing engineer or best produced albums, when you try and check those projects, you can hear different levels of production or mixing. And then I think as an artist, if you are nominated, you are able to now move to the next point whereby you're thinking, okay, I think I did well on my previous project, let me do better. I think it also helps to encourage the work that musicians do and producers do, you know, to say do better there, so that, I mean, if you're getting an award this year, you want to get it the next year, so you would go back to the studio and do better than you did the last time, because you want to get the same award again, you know. So it also helps to encourage us to keep going.
All right. I hear you. Can we talk about can we talk about this is going to be a very short discussion like the other one we had the other day, you know, because it's quite a sensitive one. So can we talk about categories though? Uh, I have heard of other categories that are quite tricky for me because I didn't know what would be the criteria. What do they use to, or what decides that category? If you're saying there's a winner, if they like, let me make an example. I once saw a category that says best recording studio, and I'm not sure how do we, when you say this is the best recording studio category, what do we look at? Do we look at the design? Do we look at the equipment they use or the software? Um, how do we judge? How do we go about when you say best recording studio, or you know, what's your take? What's your take? What kind of interesting categories you've heard of? Because I've heard yeah, quite a lot. Josie?
There are a lot of categorizations. I think the key thing is it's like in legal terms, when you introduce an idea, you have to be clear in how you articulate what it means. So I think you can pretty much put any category you want, but you must be clear about what kind of matrix you're using to determine what qualifies someone as the best in that context. Because at the end of the day, even for the categories that really make sense, it's hard. You have to use some kind of measuring stick for us to know why this thing is the winner in that category. So I don't know what they would be thinking about if they are saying the best studio, because there's many different things you could include. You could look at the cost of the studio. You look at the amount of traffic that studio gets. Perhaps that would be an indicator that if a lot of people are flocking to it, it's probably because it's a good studio. You could look at the quality of the productions that come out of it, even though that again is a very subjective thing, because sometimes the quality of the product is contingent on the quality of the engineer. So you can have a really great sounding thing and a very horrible sounding thing coming out of the same studio. So there are some very interesting categorizations. I know Ingoma has the best backing vocalist, and first time I saw it, it caught me off guard because I didn't know. But again, it depends on whoever is put in that category to say, what are they evaluating. It's like if you have general awards where they're saying best, if they were to say we're looking for the best dressed male uh, whatever artist, they whoever will be making the judgment is looking at a different set of things, but they should be specific about. I think for the evaluation to be fair, you have to be specific so that it's not a feeling thing. If we are saying we are voting for the best producer, you kind of have to be specific about what you are judging. Are you judging a production that did the best as far as sales are concerned? Are you judging a production that sounds amazing, or a production that is more musical? You have to be specific about what you're judging. I think for the thing to work, it should be so well defined that if you were to have different panels with clear matrix of what you're looking for, if there are different panels in different regions in the country judging the same list of people, they would roughly come to the same conclusion because of what you are measuring. So if you're saying we are measuring the song of the year, like for instance, that one, it's an easier one because all they're measuring is the number of votes. So that's pretty clear. It's like it's a no-brainer. But if we're saying we are judging, let me say something silly, like if you're judging the most beautiful female vocalist in gospel music, then you have to be specific about what constitutes beautiful, because it's a very subjective categorization. Then you have to say they must be this tall, or they must be this short, or they must be, whatever. So in the same sense, I think you can put anything you want. You can put the best mixing engineer, you can put the best venue for a live recording. Again, a subjective thing. You can put any categorization you want in my estimation, but you must be careful to be specific, because my problem is whenever I watch awards, and I'm not specific about any, but whenever I watch awards, I always feel like the choices are random. There's no clear articulation about what constitutes that. It's like if you find an award like the best worship song, what constitutes worship in their specific theological understanding of the concept? Is there a grid that they're measuring it against? Because some people assume that when you say some words, they're not worship words, even though if you check against a biblical idea of worship, they are actually worship. It's a worship statement. So I'm saying a lot to make a very small point. Again, bear with me. All I'm saying is I'm not too particular about the category. I think my problem is, do you have a clear-cut indicator of how you're measuring what you're saying? Is it a measurable thing in the first place?
Yeah, I think when you're saying that, obviously it becomes a bit tricky, because now when I start thinking about those categories and think about the artists that are there, it really becomes a bit tricky, because now if you're saying, for instance, say best worship song, multi worship. What are you talking about? You're talking about the song, even lyric content is talking is worshiping, or we're talking about the song where people are crying and there was a move. It's it becomes a
And
bit
which
tricky.
movie is that?
And which move is that? Did they spend enough
People were
time with the
following.
Lord? It becomes a bit tricky. So um, iyahlupha leyo, iyahlupha, when you're watching it from outside, obviously not knowing how do they come about to agree to that category, and when you say base praise song, I have seen that when they talk about best praise songs, they will talk about a fast up tempo song. So when we come in now as musicians or producers, then we have those questions to say. When you say praise song, are you saying a fast up tempo song, or how should they phrase it? Should they say the best chorus, or
Again, we're gonna have a problem because
we're gonna have a
you
problem?
said
Because when you say best praise, what is it based on the lyric, or what? But someone wrote something amazing here. Let me just read it. I didn't read all of it. Mlungisi Fano Magida. He's saying Jesus told his disciples that after they receive the Holy Spirit, they need to go out to all four corners of the earth to preach the gospel. The music and entertainment industry is a critical area of influence, I would say, for the body of Christ, because we need to showcase our gifts and talents and use recognition as a tool to encourage excellence. I would say for the body of Christ, we need to showcase our gifts and talents, and use recognition as a tool to encourage excellence. Acknowledge hard work and appreciate the level of commitment, and risk people to share their gifts with us. Awards are not only recognize awards not only recognize excellence and showcase it, but I believe that also should hedge a pathway of what the future of that particular entertainment stream is going to introduce, almost setting trends and shifting them also. Yeah, sorry, I didn't read that right. But I believe they also should hedge a pathway of what the future of that particular entertainment stream is going to introduce, almost setting trends and shifting them also. Awards should also be a school of thought that mentors, teaches, grooms, and prepares upcoming participants to reach their highest level in the future, to come and contribute to wealth of talents, knowledge, diversity, creativity, and much more. These are just my thoughts, high level. Did you hear that?
yeah, I think he was also touching on the theological relevance issue. Yeah, which is also an interesting thing to think about. But yeah, it covers a couple of areas. What he's saying.
Well, if your Nkanyiso Martin, well, if all your main categories are for sale, then it's smart to add many other diverse categories as cover up.
For sale, how?
Please explain, Nkanyiso, for sale how. I'm just going through all the comments so that we. Yeah, it's I'm seeing different things here. Okay, someone is asking a question: how transparent are the awards and all of it? I think we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So one of the one category that always disturbs me, guys, and I think please understand me, and then obviously if I need help me here. If then awards are going to happen every year January, for instance, or every year December or whatever, and then there's a category that says best newcomer. how are we supposed to how do we choose, how do we vote? And now my question is, do you think, let's start here, do you think those type of categories, best newcomer, best artist, best song of the year, should they be people's voting, should be people should be the ones that are voting for those people? And if not, why not? Why, if it's not the people that are voting, and it's the panel, what should be the criteria that they follow when it comes to best newcomer? What qualifies us to have a new best newcomer? CT, Lebs?
Yeah, I think from what I'm understanding, newcomers, obviously the word itself, it's, yeah, yeah, to explain. And but I think they're probably, one would look at the level of excellence from that particular project for a person who just came into the industry. I mean, for someone that's starting something and for someone that has already been doing it for 10 years, you always find a bit of difference in terms of the quality of the project they bring. But I mean, if the person that just came in 2 minutes ago is already putting together a product of high level excellence that matches the one of someone who's been there, I think that's one of the things that the one would look at, really. That means this person has really outdone themselves.
Josie?
Best newcomer. One of my favorite best newcomers that I don't forget is We Will Worship.
Yeah.
I don't remember where they got the best newcomer award.
I
I
think it
don't
was
know if it
Metro.
was
I think it
it
was
was
Metro.
Metro, ne?
I think it was Metro. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, amen.
Oh
I
no, no,
think
it wasn't Metro. I think Metro was the best gospel because Metros they're not doing full gospel and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
No, I think it was
Was it Crowns? I know they got a best newcomer
best
somewhere.
newcomer.
I
Yes.
hope I have the right information. But yeah, again, I said I'm not researched. I think that project they did to this day is phenomenal when I think about it. It was quite a revolution, a trend-setting thing. But again, just as a comment on that, I think one we should not forget that it is the prerogative of whoever sets up their awards to decide how they judge um, any category that they come up with. So, but it is an interesting category, that one of best newcomer. Um, I think they probably worry that not a lot of people will be flogging to vote for a newcomer, because it's not every year that a newcomer does something significant, like the year that We Will Worship came on the scene, because they showed up strong when they landed. But it's not every year where you get a newcomer who shows up on that level. But when the category is already there, you kind of have to judge it. So I think that's part of the reason why most of these franchises, sorry to call it a franchise, most of these award organizations then decide not to make it a voting category. But it's also been a very fascinating thing for me as a category that I don't know. I think what I would recommend for these award houses, maybe they should somewhere on their platforms share with us for our education, really, not for us to judge them or anything. What criteria they're using to judge every category, and how the whole machine works, because most of the time we could be sitting back and complaining about an outcome, which if we understood the reason behind, we would be thinking about it differently. So, like for instance, one of the things that fascinates me about a best newcomer is not simply have they done well as somebody who's starting out, is are they judging the fact that it's your first album, or are they judging the fact that you are new to mainstream? So if, for instance, you, Oli, now that your album came out last year, would you have made sense as a newcomer, even though you had been in the game since like 2003? I mean, you came in and sang on that High Praise Explosion, then you recorded that 8-hour album that's like 2006, 7 or so. And yeah, so you've been doing a lot, but you've never had an album. Are you a newcomer, or have you been here for a while? But again, it's one of those things where I'm saying it would be cool if we understood, I guess, the angle that they're zooming in from, because that one for me is what helps take away the unfairness. Um, and it's what helps settle the hearts of the people who are following what you're doing. Because once it feels arbitrary and random and unguided, it just ends up feeling like a thing that's like, I don't even know what to call it, because you just feel like, oh yeah, I guess it's who people like, or who the judges like, or whatever. But if it was so clearly articulated that anybody can do it if they follow their steps, then I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, my biggest problem, my biggest, not really problem, but challenge, yeah, I mean, as I'm sitting at home and watching ours,
Mhm.
we find that now someone wins the best newcomer, uh, best newcomer, and all of us who have never had that album. It's the first time I'm seeing this thing. It's the first time I'm hearing about this album, and the person now is winning best newcomer. It's a bit of a problem for me because it's a newcomer based on what? Have we heard his music? Best newcomer because the panel has just heard the music and they like the person.
But again, I think the problem arises from the fact that the newcomer category is a tricky one in by nature, because you cannot necessarily guarantee that you will have people coming in the industry every year and making a huge impact from the day they arrive. Some people need some time. And so interesting projects like I'm saying, like the We Will Worship project was was a very rare thing that doesn't happen every year, where you have a band that just shows up, or an artist that just shows up out of nowhere, and you've never heard of it, but they hit you with a huge production that just sounds like they've been in the game forever. Productions like those are scarce. So I think as a result, for a category like newcomer, you are bound to find problems like those, because I mean, how many times in the past 5 years have you really bumped into a first time album that caught your attention? Probably not many times. So I think that's a, because they have one of two options. They either just have to give someone that award because people have applied for the award, or if they don't feel that nobody made an impact as far as they, whatever calculation they're using, then it would mean them canceling that award and waiting for the year when somebody, by whatever standard you would want them to use, does an impact that's recognizable. But an award like that, I feel like it does run a risk of having that issue of just for a couple of years. It's definitely going to have people you've never heard of, because not everybody is gonna come with a bang.
Okay, let me go through comments as well, and then I'll come and jump in. Dineo Ntsetle. Newcomers must be artists who is a year and less experience. So far, applicants of these categories, there must be criteria. Okay, I think she's just saying that artist must be a year
Experience,
or less experience.
experience
Now,
how?
yeah, it's a bit tricky when it
Because
comes to
that's what I was asking. That for a person like somebody who's been backing, for instance, from 2002, who's never had their own album, when they come in and record an album, do you consider them to have experience of less than a year? That type of thing.
Okay, let me go to the next one. Kanyiso came back, says we are always hearing stories of how Payola is involved with some of the high-profile categories, which brings to question how transparent and fair are they when judging the winners. Okay, we'll come back to that. This year of the best newcomer. Okay. Sipose to August Sihlangu. But newcomer doesn't always mean that group or artist in sorry, something happened there. Someone is calling me and I'm live, and I don't understand. Um, um, but newcomer doesn't always mean that group or artist is new in the game, because we've seen artists who have been in the game for years deciding to go solo, and they are then labeled as newcomer. I remember when I think it was Metro or South African Music Awards. Um, Mikasa, they had a similar issue as well, where the two guys I knew in the game, but Dr. Duda he's had an album before and he's been around. So, but now as Mikasa, they're a new group now, and they were nominated for best newcomer. I remember there was an issue there as well, whether they go through or not. I don't remember how they resolved it, but that has happened before. And another comment there is Dumi Muhlala. I think another big challenge is the musical taste that different people have. For one, the best worship song, for instance, could be a good contemporary, well arranged song, while to another, the best worship song could be a good traditional vernacular song. How do they draw the line? How does the voting, who does the voting? Mosima Washala, yes, it actually can. Most of the newcomers are people who have been around. Okay. Uh, Sudisha is saying awards are generally a problem, starting from nominations. What criteria do they use to nominate? Then the selection criteria for the final winner, where the judges decides. It's all questionable, so awards are just tricky. Sipo say to again, but it's also key to note that just because someone is trending, it doesn't mean that that person doesn't have a following. Uh, there was a choir who won the best feeding scheme. Okay, I'm not going to entertain that for now. Um, some some of is new too, and his music for years. So many were shocked, but even more were not shocked. Okay, I skipped the name of the person there intentionally because I just feel like it's gonna take another direction. I think best newcomer is just on how people receive the person, like Busi Khatebe is fire. That's Colin Garab. Um, um, Sudisha again is saying, Xoli Thabethe, we also have singles being released a week before nominations, but go on to win the awards. How do they select those? I have seen that million times, guys. I have seen that.
I have helped those singles to be released.
I
I have submitted singles. I rushed to release singles for people just so that they can enter. Hey, yeah.
it
Ooh.
tricky, guys. The best newcomer. It tricky, but I mean, I'm saying you have to be a best newcomer. Look, let me make an example. I know that it's a sensitive one. For instance, like Spunoa. Spunoa's song became really big. He was the biggest thing for me, and unfortunately, the awards went the way they went, and I think they have reasons, valid reasons, Futi, of how it went down. But I still feel personally, Mina, because those categories were not openly wasn't audience voting. And I think if the audience was voting for that type of a category, Sbuno could have won the best newcomer, because Sbu, it's tricky footing to Sbu again. It goes back to what you were saying. He's been performing for years, the Joyas. He's famous, he's known, but is he a best newcomer now? Yes, he's been singing with a group, but alone as an artist, the album is new, so I think maybe then it's a newcomer album. I feel he was really big. I feel he really went big. He was, for me, it was a best newcomer. You know, um, but look, there's a whole lot of things that goes around this thing. I don't know the criteria. Maybe that's how they were looking at it. This guy is coming from a choir. He's been singing. He's been showing up. We know him and all of that. So I don't know. Um, I think you wanna say something?
Now I'm just saying I doubt they looked at it that way because I mean, from if you look at the history of best newcomers, I think they completely disregard the fact that you were probably doing music with another group or anything. As soon as you put your name on the sleeve and you say, "This is my album," even if you were baking for 1,000 groups, as soon as you put a project and you say, "This is mine," you are literally starting. You are literally starting a whole new project and a whole new career. So I think that's how they view it.
Yeah. I literally discouraged people who came to me back then, who just came to who would say, look, I want us to do a hit because the awards are coming. Yeah, well, we know those people that rock up around August, 4 months, 4 months, 3 months before awards and all of that. I mean, there's Mpumalanga Awards, there's Ingomas, there's Crown Gospel, there's Summers as well. And once you rock up and you call 2, 3, 4 months and say, no, I need a hit song for this. I just don't want to produce those albums. I just chase them away, give them a huge coat that I know that it will be a bit difficult to afford, and just disappear, because I just feel like you are doing this because you want an accolade, and it becomes a bit of a problem for me. Yeah, well, you want an award. You're not doing this because you really love to do this, or God has told you to do a project, or you have a word, or you have something to say for that matter. So I know a lot of people who are just doing these things for awards, and it's a bit of a problem. Uh, let's move to you guys. Lebo, have you been nominated as a best producer?
Yes, I have. I have,
Okay.
and unfortunately, here's the thing: for most of the projects I was nominated for, I did not submit, but the artists and the companies submitted for me because yeah, I only get calls that Buti, we've been nominated, Bro, we've been nominated, but yeah, I never really submit personally. I never really submit, which is why most of the time it's always the artist leading the whole thing.
Something
Yeah.
happened. Josie, have you been nominated before?
I think there's a again, it's maybe Sorisha can help us in with legalities. There's a technicality in the categories, particularly for producing and mixing. The categories, from my understanding of the naming by their naming standards, they are not categories for producers. So albums I've worked on have been nominated as best produced albums, but I have never been nominated because I don't think they have a category called best producer in any award things. So I think the category is best produced album. So it's the album that gets the nomination, and I think that's why the
Okay.
artists then keep the
Yeah.
award because yeah, I
Okay. Maybe I
personally
can.
I don't think if you were to go to any award ceremony situation, you my name would ever pop up anyway because I've never been necessarily nominated, but albums I've produced have been, and I think there's been some that won probably. I don't know. I
Okay,
know
guys.
there's one.
Guys, please double check for us whether it was phrased as best produced album or best producer. Can you please double check for us on those categories in all awards, because I think I I'm not sure. I think I remember something that said best producer, and it becomes a bit tricky because now if you're gonna say best producer, sometimes what I've seen is they would say, let's say, let me make an example, maybe with Label, to say, look, Label has never produced an album, blah blah blah. He just rocked up, and then he comes in, he produces, let's say, someone who's not known, let's say like Spoo Noah. Boom, then the album becomes so big. Is he a best producer, or he produced a good album for that time? Must it be best producer? Is it based on the experience, number of years you've been doing this? I think that goes as well with the engineer as well. Is it best engineered song or best engineer? Yeah, well, I think we need to uh, best producer, best produced. I think
Yeah, for me.
Okay, yeah,
from my
yeah.
it's
Someone
best
just
producer.
yeah. Sorry
I
to cut you.
I got a oh sorry yeah, because I got best producer album for I think it was Crowns. Do you hear?
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing
Yeah,
you.
best producer.
Yeah, I see people are confirming the issue of best producer.
It's
See,
best producer.
best producer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, uh, the category is best producer. Yeah. I was nominated, I think, 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Um, I was nominated, and one of the things that made me not to participate in promoting and making noise to say, hey, I've been promoted, please vote, here's the number and all of that. My biggest challenge was I was nominated with Bishop Benjamin Dube, and I don't remember the other guys, but that category was a bit tricky for me. And I think it's going to go to my next thought as well that I wanted to share as well. That category was a bit of a problem for me because how do you then categorize and put me in the same category with the person that introduced me to production? Uh, I don't know if you follow where I'm going. It was a bit tricky for me. Because now you're saying I'm a best producer, and then you put a Bishop Benjamin Dube, who's a legend, who's been there for so many years. Why is he there on that category, and with who as well? Yeah, but because I just feel like that needs to be differentiated as well. I think maybe if you're gonna put a big name like if I'm get nominated for what is this, the Grammys, and then they put Quincy Jones and me. I just feel like, look, that's not fair for me. What's your take on that? Where they put a big name with all other small names that are nominated as well. There. What's your take on that?
you know what? From what I've noticed, it's I think for them it's not about who, especially for this kind of a nomination or category. It's not always about who started the production first, who has been doing it for long, and all that. But they look at that particular project at the time. That's
But
what they're looking
but
at.
then that's what Joseph was saying. Then it's supposed to be say best produced album. So we focus on the album. We don't focus on the person. Because when you focus on the person, then those things come in to say who are the producers that are in that category.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example. Like with the album I won for, it the title is Best Producer Album. So it specified they specify about that album, not all the other albums they know. They're just dealing with that particular album, and that's why they even put a title to it, which album. Because I think if they were saying best producer, they would talk about Lifetime if they were not specifying an album, a particular album. Really, I think that's where I think with that we can open it up, and
Yeah.
actually we must start a forum where a different forum where we deal with these things actually.
Yeah. 3 4 years ago, again, I think metros when the metros were still doing the awards as well. They had a category where they had I think best worship song or best or song of the day or something like that. And in that category, there was Joyous Celebration and there was Mahalia Buchanan, and I don't remember who was there as well. I think if I'm not wrong, it might be Kaya Mteta or something. And I remember there was an article that came out that Joyous is pulling out. They wanted to pull out from that category. And I happened to listen to the interview, the Metro interview that they did, because Black Twitter obviously started saying, Joyous, they think they're all that. Who are they that they would pull out from the category? Blah 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 blah. I remember it was a big thing, Jay, that happened that day. My and then when I listened to the interview, if I'm not wrong, I think it was Baplongwane. He said it doesn't make sense for them to be in the same categories with your Mahalias and the kids that came out from Joyous, because now it's just that now if I phrase it differently, it's going to open another discussion as to um, when you have won so many awards as well, when do you retire as well? You're able to say, look, yeah, now I'm a legend. I shouldn't be in those type of categories as well, because now it's been years. Joss has been winning awards for all these years, and then now 20 something later, 2006 or 2015 later or whatever, 2015 now they're nominated with the kids that have been there in the choir that were developed and produced and found from the same group. It becomes a bit tricky for me to when do you retire? What's your take, Jose?
Um, I think this conversation is complicated. um, uh, okay, I did a quick lookup. Yeah, I saw that thing is it's best. Uh, what do they say? But I saw the one here one. It's called Best Producer Album. So there's a um, grammatical situation worthy of consideration. Summers, on the other hand, they
Sounds
call it
weird.
the Summers call it Best Produced Album, and they actually highlight the albums, not the producers. But let's not be pedantic. When it comes to the to the matter of when do you retire, I think we should first start with should you enter awards first before we discuss whether you should retire. But I think one, it will be tricky because I haven't heard the interview. But overall, as a perspective, I think if you decide to enter, it's really up to you. It's fine to enter. It's not a bad thing. Uh, but I think once you're in, you should stay in. Because I think they're judging your work year by year. They're not judging you as an individual, which is why the idea of judging a best producer and a best engineer is complicated, because every other thing they're judging artist of the year. So they are not saying you're the best in life. They're just saying in that particular year, you probably did work that's worthy of recognition, that sets you apart. So it's a question of distinction. So I think you don't have to not enter awards if you are happy to enter them in the first place. I think you can keep entering. It depends on what you're trying to learn from the data that you get. Like if you feel like you're entering awards for PR reasons and you feel you need PR even after many years in that particular stream, then feel free to enter. I don't think there's a point you get to when there's justification for you not to enter on the basis of the fact that you've been in the game for a while. I think your reasons have to be like multi-layered. It's either that you don't want to enter because the PR that they give you is not worth what you're looking for, or maybe you don't need the recognition um, because maybe the people who are making the evaluation do not understand the work you're doing, or yeah, there's a whole lot of reasons. But I don't think having been in the game for a long time exempts you from anything, because it's a year-to-year thing, and some years are better than others. I mean, you can be in the game for a long time and do a lot of good productions, but not all productions you're going to do are going to work. So if you're looking for that review, looking for that recommendation, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and I see people are saying we should have maybe invited someone from these organizations. It was a bit tricky for us to get hold of one. Apologies on that, guys. It tricky, Manchozi. It tricky the discussion, because the issue of ours in generally, because there's always that fight. I mean, it's the same as soccer. We always fight in Utuba Nkoma, but they always put him back. You find him there. Good Chief, there's this one guy who's always there, and we always complain about him, but he's forever there. He's been there with Chiefs for all these years. So there's always that discomfort and people not agreeing fully with the decisions that are made. So indaba ama-awards mina iyangihlupha honest, because I think from where I'm seated, And obviously this thing, yeah, Payola, is always, there's assumptions. There's assumptions that that thing is there, and we don't know. I wish one of my friends could just jump in and we add him on Zoom just to comment, because I see people are here. So it was a bit tricky one, because we how do you invite someone when there's so many issues around this thing, because it's quite a sensitive one. I don't want it to people now start attacking, and because that person will be speaking from the direction of their organization, and it's quite a very sensitive one, Jay. Um, and song of the year. What's your take on that? How do you feel that, is it judged fairly? Is it song of the year because it's big? Because now we've seen song of the years that we have never heard of, and I think let's put that together with the song of artist of the year as well. And I know that those ones people need to campaign for them, and now it always goes back to who's got enough money to do to do the vote, to buy, I don't know, whatever. There's that thing on the side, yabo ukuthi some they bought 1 million sound cards and they put them on phone, they voted forever and all of that. So it's always a tricky discussion. But what's your take on song of the year and artist of the year?
Um, my personal take on it is I think I'm gonna sound like I'm gonna be repetitive in most of these answers. When if any of us here in this conversation, including the people watching, decided to start a an event, and in that event they gave recognition to people for any work of excellence they've put out. So if right now we were to decide we wanna release a list of what we think, like there's a list that I have, a personal list that I write and keep adjusting, and the list is the 10 best gospel albums that came out of South Africa in the past 10 years. No, it's not the 10 years, it's actually 20 years. I have, yeah, I'm mixing up my list. There's the top songs in 10 years, and then there's the best gospel albums ever to come out of the country. Now, my measuring criteria. So if I showed you my list, you cannot immediately jump and say, no, this list is wrong. There's so and so's album is missing. You first have to understand what I'm looking at as a judging, you know, how I calculate why I think an album qualifies to fit my list, my album. And that's the same logic that I think goes into anybody establishing an award, an event that recognizes artists for their craft and for their performance during that particular year. They predetermine for themselves how or why they think somebody qualifies. And every method you're going to use is never going to be watertight. So if you are saying, like Sodisha was asking, Kore, what is the criteria they're using for the nomination level first before we get to the winners? They have their system that they put in place. I don't know it because it's not available. It's not immediately available to me, but I haven't done the research, of course. Let me not make it sound like I've looked into it more than I have. So, but they have a system that they use. If they decide that their system is, we're gonna get a team of DJs that are playing this music, that are getting the requests from the people, and put them here and let them tell us that this is what's banging and this is what's not happening. It's like, cool, let's do that. If they decide we're gonna get a team of producers that really put music out there to tell us if this is a good production worthy of this platform, again, it's their prerogative. So I think at the heart of it, whichever method you're going to use, you're always going to have dissatisfied people on the ground. So now, for most platforms like Summers and Crown Gospel Awards and Metros. Metros don't exist anymore, right? But anyway, whatever one that's out there, usually what they do for the Song of the Year, they make it a voting category. Now, when you make it a voting category, unfortunately, it's not going to be a simple reflection on what it's not simply a reflection on how much people love the thing that they are supposed to vote for. It's a reflection on how much somebody is able to procure votes. So now if my people really love what I'm putting out, but they don't have the energy to be spending the time and the airtime to vote for me, unfortunately, that's the downside of what we're dealing with. So for me, if there's anything we could challenge about the category of Song of the Year, I would raise some questions about how does somebody get nominated in the first place. If I was doing awards, if I was the one doing it, I would open it up to votes. But one of the initial things I would make sure that I'm careful of is to be particular about who I allow to fit the category. So in that instance, I would be trying my best to guard against the scenario, like what you're saying, where you have a song of the year that you don't know. So I would just be trying to see which songs have been trending in the year and only allow those. But of course, there's again a downside to it. It's a question of, am I going to be the one as the award house to approach the people to say, can I put your song up and automatically nominate it because it seems to be a big song? Because if that's not the case, then and I only get 2 big songs and the rest of the other people, and I need 4 nominations according to a rule I set for myself, and the rest of the other songs are not necessarily known, I have again a complicated decision to make. Each pro has a con, and look, generally what's going to happen if you have the flexibility to vote as many times as you want, people who are committed to winning are going to put in the efforts to make sure that they get the votes, whether they get the votes from people or whether they get the votes from buying SIM cards and getting a collective of people from their church to sit and vote. Again, for every pro, there's a con. We can't really comfortably say that that's wrong or right. You can raise a question of ethics, but from a context of are the award houses, the companies that run these things, are they wrong to do it that way? I wouldn't necessarily say that they are. I mean, they're really making it a fair platform where everybody can. But I think it's unfortunate, of course, for the artist who goes out of their way to buy SIM cards and have people sit and vote, because then you're losing out on the data, at least finding out how much traction is you're putting out as an artist, how much people are receiving what you're doing. I wouldn't encourage people to do that, but I don't think it's really a reflection of how poorly the award ceremony itself is run, except for the part of the nomination. I think they could do better on that one. But yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay. All right. Let's go towards the end of this discussion, then move to other things as well that we wanted to talk about. Production. Why is it always sounding bad? Let's just start there on the bad side, and then we'll go to the good part. Why is it always sounding bad? I've had a lot of questions where people were like, "Hey guys, don't you know anyone who can fix this thing?" Blah 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 blah. And I know some of the record, not really the companies that do these the broadcasting feed are my friends and all of that, but the question is, why is it always sounding bad on our TVs when they've spent so much money in putting the stage together and putting all these things together for us to hear, and always, every year, there's something wrong when it comes to live music awards? Josie?
Yeah, that's also a cool one to think about, because I think first in and again, I don't want to be too defensive of people who do awards, but the first thing to recognize just in their defense is that it's a complicated thing to stream live music. it's a very complicated thing, and most people really undermine it. And I guess maybe Aaron can also have a view on it. I mean, just a couple of days ago, last week or so, I was watching, who's this brother? Victory Belongs to Jesus. Todd Dulaney.
Yeah.
He had a live stream that he did, um, full on band, and they were really kicking it hard. Their opening was really, really, really tricky. There was a lot of distortion. I wanted to use the word the man of God used on Wednesday, but I wasn't emotionally prepared for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a lot of distortion on it. They tried to manage it as the show went on, but to stream live music is a sophisticated thing, man. It's a pretty tricky thing, and unfortunately, I don't know what infrastructurally, I don't know what we are lacking. I don't know if we lack the necessarily we lack. I don't think it's a lack of the technical resources, but I just think there's a degree to which the exposure is not where it should be. But I think Idol's live streams pretty well. So I'm not fully sure, because I know Christo used to live stream something, but I know he also, I remember I was talking to him about one other thing that he was doing a part of the audio for, but he wasn't doing everything. And I know there were some decisions they made that put him at a back foot. So now his live stream got compromised because the people running the event made bad decisions. And so there's generally a lot of technical things that are going on whenever it comes to the issue of streaming live music. And that's why back in the years, metros always sounded better, because they were always pushing DJs and backtracks. Those are much easier to stream. But once you go live drum kit and stuff like that, the mixes tend to really fall to the ground. So I'm not fully sure where the problem is, because it's a combination of things. The team you're working with contributes from the musicians on stage to the amount of time they're given to prep, all the way to all the technicals. But also the technicals are affected by several other decisions that the production houses make, because sometimes these things are you are unable to do the best you can and the best you should, because of the decisions that the people who are running these productions are making on your behalf, even you as the sound engineer, or you as the band, the music producer, or whatever. But I haven't personally done any award ceremony, so I cannot fully comment about what's going on. I do know that they do sound bad, and I do know that in South Africa we tend to struggle with live broadcast, but it's not necessarily limited to a South African context. Streaming live is hard, but yeah, there's a lot going on that
It's
I'm
just
not
that,
really.
it's just that now I don't want to go in comparison about
Yeah.
to idols, but we all know that idols is always making like good production when it comes to the streaming. We always hear things perfectly. We always hear the band sounding clean and all of that. But when it comes to us, you would hear this very loud organ that just cuts through the mix, and the next thing, there's one with a huge vai in the middle of the choir singing there. There's always something that sounds really, 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 really not nice. Let's wrap up quickly. Do you think awards are making any difference for an artist? Do they bring up the brand? Do they work for the brand um, in their lives? Do you think in the artist life awards in JJ just make a difference? Does it affect their career in any way? What's your take on that? Should they be even considered? Should we even consider it as artists? Lebza?
Yeah, I think from what I was saying earlier, that awards really are there to promote. I mean, for example, I'll name one person for when we watched I think The Crown, people made so much noise about Jumbo. They were saying, "Ah, Ubanu Jumbo, who's Jumbo? What has he done?" and all of that. Jumbo had won an award, and after winning that award, people started raving about him, and the following day he was like number top five selling artist on iTunes, because people went there to find out about Jumbo. And then I saw people coming back again on social media to say, "Hi man, this guy's music is good," you know, because now he got recognition from those particular awards. And I think for me, they do make a difference. And I've had a couple of conversations with promoters. They always, when they do all these big events, they're always looking for someone who's doing well in the market, someone who has gotten a couple of awards recently. I mean, if the summers maybe are happening this month, um, in the next 2 months, the next events that you're gonna see in the next 2 to 3 months, you will see most of the people that won the awards being booked for those particular events, and I think it makes a huge difference, really. But it's not like a thing whereby it's a must to be a part of awards. It's
Okay.
just a thing on the side.
Yeah, I believe, I think in the early days, obviously, I know that when it comes to summers and all of that, I have seen a lot of artists that I used to work with, and once they get nominated and all of that, and some if you win and all of that, I would see a rise on bookings as well. I think churches, they start feeling you more, they start feeling your anointing more when you've won an award, because when they introduce you, they want to say he's an award-winning artist and da 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 da, and I have seen a rise on gigs. I just don't know if it still happens that way. Um, uh, yeah, it's a bit tricky. And just to close it up, should should we all go on stage to pick up the award and go with our aunts? And then there's someone who's making noise now saying "Brying home," so and all those things. Do we need that? And I don't know. What's your take, guys?
I wonder if it's awards. Awards are like a party, man. Awards are like a celebration, man. Like that's why I want to. They come with their uncles, their aunties, an uncle they've never seen for the past 10 years. He'll be there, Baba. You know. So I think really, I just wish though there would be some kind of a control. But I mean, people just want to celebrate with their people, and yeah.
Yeah, it tricky. This discussion is coming in full. I think season two we're gonna have.
Oh, can I mention something as well, Chloe? Sorry.
Yeah.
Ne? Here's another thing that I found out over the years. There
Yeah.
are people who talk,
Yeah.
like they are good in talking, they are good in posting a lot on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. They love the artists on through social media. When it's time to vote, they don't vote, and when their artists, their favorite artists don't win, then they take it badly. Guys, if you don't vote, the artist is not gonna win. And this is serious. I've seen it whereby people don't vote, man. They don't vote. They just talk on Facebook. But blah 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 was supposed to win it. Especially this the categories whereby you are supposed to vote. And there are people that go on the ground. They go to churches. They sell the CDs. They convince people to vote, and those people go out and vote, and they end up winning. And then the next thing, we are surprised, how did this guy win the award, whereas we don't know him. You'd find this guy uh, got particular area and locked that area and made sure that those people that are following him, they vote and they commit, you know. So if we are really gonna go forward with this, if you're gonna vote, if you have an artist that you like, then vote for that person, support that particular person. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, guys. I think vote so it's a Kali. Let no one cry after and say, yeah, but I had a bigger song. I was supposed to win. But did you campaign enough? Did you campaign enough? I mean, I've had discussions with other friends of mine who are owning record labels, and their artists have won the best song of the year or artist of the year. I remember that they used to go to churches. They used to market, do this thing, do posters, banners, and all of that to get people to vote for them. So and they win. So whether you think you are big or not, sometimes I think we have a tendency when we think that we are big and our songs are big, then we should just relax It's it's obvious, and it's, trust me, it's not obvious.
Nanokuthi ingoma yakho ithandwa ikereke yakho kuphela yabona.
Yeah, no, mhlawumbe udumile ngakini, so you're famous in the area where they know you. So it doesn't mean that we all know you. But hey, it's cool, guys. I think let's leave this discussion and do our finale really, and just close up and make sure that everyone is answered. I know we had left a lot of questions before that were not answered. I want us to touch on them quickly, and then give people the news as to what's happening. Why did we say it's finale today? And just wrap up there. Guys, please, if you have questions, just send them through the inboxes now. Uh, uh, Anything general, and so that we can wrap up this finale. Let's go. Aaron, do you have questions there? Aaron, are you there?
Yeah, we have questions. Let me go through.
Okay, cool. I underscore Kucho Malti, Malti, I don't know, Malti or Maliti or. My question is, do you guys as producers have a say or preference for a venue of a recording? Are the venues that are not recording friendly, and what do you consider when choosing a venue? Lebs, I want to answer that quickly.
Okay, I think I'll also go back to what we mentioned before, is that when you are an artist, it's always better to, when you start a project, approach the music producer, and then only then you can make all the other additional decisions. Sometimes we get in a position whereby we get calls whereby they just telling us, hey, Lebza, I mean, I booked State Theatre. We are going to fill up State Theatre, and you realize for the kind of music and the kind of vibe this person wants and the kind of production they are looking for, State Theatre is not the best place. And unfortunately, by then it's too late. The venue has been paid for. That's one of the scenarios we get through. We get to go through whereby the venue has been paid, and mostly it's always like that. Artists usually go and book the place, and they decide on the place they want, and then they only come to us only later on. It's only a few that actually come from ground zero to say, where do you think we can do this? We can do this project at, and that's why we were advising that if you're gonna start a project, rather meet with the music producer so that they can advise you further, and then from there start speaking with the visual directors, the cinematographers, like we were saying the other day. Then they can expand the whole concept, and then from there you can find a proper venue for whatever you are trying to achieve.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Aaron, give me another question. We're wrapping up now. We're wrapping up. Bapati, how do you guys handle the pressure of having to always produce and maintain the same standard, if not higher? Two, how do you guys go about choosing the suitable instrumentalists for the project and making sure they maintain high standards for your project? Josie, first question.
I think maybe Lebo can also jump in, because maybe my answer might not be as comprehensive. But the first thing is, in my case, I don't think about I I'm never trying to produce a big album or a hit album. I'm not conscious of those things whenever I do production. Uh, I'm not trying to get something fresh. I'm not trying to come up with something creative. I'm not trying to be original. I'm not trying to be different. And I'm definitely not trying to produce a hit. I'm just doing whatever I'm receiving when I get the album. So if I have a series of songs, I really love the songs. I'm working on the songs because I love the songs, and I have ideas on the songs based on what I'm hearing from the songs. So it's not. I That's why I was saying hopefully that we can have a different view. There's no systematic planning for me to say I am keeping the standard high and I'm trying to come up be fresh from my last project, and it's really just it's always impacted by the songs themselves. It's impacted by the exposure I get, because every time I get into a new project, I get exposed to things I didn't realize, and that's why it shows up in my next project. So it, you just keep getting better over time because now you know something you didn't know when you did your last project, and so that's what I think makes a little progression happen. And working with different musicians, that also changes things, working with different artists and listening to different music. There's all those things, but there's never any intentionality on my part to try and do a better album, or there's never an intentionality on my part to raise the bar or to do any of those things. I'm just working with what I have and just doing whatever I'm feeling at the time.
Lebza?
Yes, sir. I think now I'm just gonna basically repeat what Joseph is saying, and I think the interesting thing is myself and Joseph, we do most of the things together, and I think our thinking space, it's not always about let's make a hit project, let's make a hit album. For me, everything is always based on what I'm getting at that time. But my basic thought is, after getting whatever I'm getting, my thing is I must just put together quality production. That's what I'm always about: quality production, which is where we I can't go to a low class recording studio, or I can't even record with a Tunda drum kit. I will go for the proper musicians that will play with the proper equipment, from, yeah, all those kind of things. And those are the things that I know they will help me put together quality music, from the songwriting to how we're gonna put together all those songs that were sent in as voice notes, like we were saying the other day. Yeah, so it's more about quality than anything, really.
Okay. Next
Yeah.
question, Aaron. I think it's. I'm not
Yeah,
seeing.
that's all.
No, okay. That's all the
The
ones you
another one
have.
that
Where?
you receive. Yeah, yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, because I think on my screen it goes
Yeah,
blank. I don't know.
there's
Okay. Tabo
I think
Mafuane.
we've answered this.
We've spoken about
yeah,
this before, ne?
Yeah, when both states were here, we touched on it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And the second part of the previous question, I
Question.
think
We didn't answer that, ne?
we answered it sometime in the other days, uh, but I'm sure we can breeze through it. I don't know if we should. How do you go about choosing a suitable instrumentalist for the project and making sure? Yeah, I think we have spoken about it at some point.
Yeah. There's a question that came in. There's a question that is it necessary to use so many keyboards on stage?
And I made a video. I posted a video trying to explain. Well, I was explaining why I use multiple keyboards. So I think if you can go somewhere on my page, there is a video that talks about that. But I will give you an example. If I have four keyboards,
Hmm.
I every keyboard has a special role. Like the first keyboard would play maybe pads and strings. The second keyboard would play more of lead synthesizers. The third keyboard would play more of transition effects, and the fourth keyboard would play more of orchestra hits and polyphonic synthesizers. Now, in a process during a recording, there's no time to change sounds. If you're gonna use one keyboard or two keyboards and you're playing auxiliaries, it's always a challenge when the song moves to a B section to a C section. You are busy changing a sound. That sound doesn't log in immediately. The part just passes you by, and now you are left with missing parts from your side. Already you are compromising the whole thing. So for me, if I have four keyboards, I already know if we're gonna go to a B section starts with this keyboard. This keyboard has a transition effect. When we go to the C section, this keyboard has a hit. This hit introduces the next section, so it's much easier to navigate. And even for mixing process and mixing session, we're able to mix all these sounds accordingly, unlike if I'm gonna do layers in one keyboard. It's difficult now during post-production. I can't mix properly, so I think if you go on my page, you will see a video that explains that.
They're saying make it practical, make it work with two keyboards and practice some more. So hey, that's the birthday guy. You see when you send shout outs to people who are not strong
They
in the
start,
Lord.
yeah, they start Baba excited. Reska thaba thata ba.
All right, guys. Here's okay. I think we'll come back to that after the show. So guys, here's the plan. Here's what is happening. I think we'll leave it there for today. I know some of you have been asking why. I've got a lot of inboxes. Actually, we received a lot of inboxes as to why are we cutting the talk? Why are we making this the season one? And the plan. Obviously, then that's when we started thinking we should do a season two. Um, the biggest thing that we are trying to achieve is to make sure that we give information that is precise and right, number one. And we wanted to share our experiences. The basic of this talk was to share our experiences, and then obviously keep inviting people to come in. And I know some of you have requested us to invite certain people, and you've commented, you've read their names for us to invite them. And I think I need to be honest with you and say, look, some of them we tried to call them, and unfortunately we were not able to get hold of them, because obviously some are using this lockdown time as a prayer time for themselves, and they're shutting out all other external platforms and all of that. So the biggest thing is there's a lot of people that we wanted to invite. And again, the other thing was we realized that some of them, they wouldn't give the information for free. They believe it's their copyright, and they're right. And that's why we're moving to season two, which will introduce other things. We will tell you about them closer to the time. And because there's copyright issues, there's intellectual property as well. And we have invited people, so all of them, they've given us later dates to say, look, they are available on certain dates and whatnot. So we're moving those to season two later in the month. And obviously, we were hoping that the president was going to give us good news yesterday, that we are reopening some essentials, more essentials, whatever, so that we are able to move around and do what we were hoping that we would do after this week, actually after the following week. So now what we're going to do is we are taking a pause on the talk, specifically just the talk, us discussing issues and inviting guests. We are moving that to season two, where we'll explain it and be more precise, be brief, and have a guest who's coming in to talk about all of that and give proper information and whatnot. So the talk is going to continue. We are hoping that we'll start on the first week of May or the second week. We will obviously advertise. So what is happening next week from Monday? From Monday, same time, the show will continue, but it will be performances now. We've prepared some music performances for you from different artists who are friends. I see people are calling it the quarantine style. We've been working on those productions, mainly most of them Josie has been working on them, and we have videos. Lebo has produced some of those songs, and we've put them together to give you a music sort of like a mini show or a worship sessions, so to say, because everyone is calling them that. So we're going to have time on Monday, a worship session on Monday. We're going to have a worship session again on Wednesday, and another one on Friday. And then we will announce on Friday as to what's happening the following week with regards to the talks. And I know a lot of people sent messages and requesting those type of people. So we managed to get most of them, but for the season 2, and they will give their all. And we are happy. And unfortunately, as you know, we don't announce the names, but believe you me, it's going to be lit. Josie, do you wanna tell us a little bit about next week?
Yeah, I can. What I can say is that it's just a. Remember, we mentioned one of these days a concept called the Worship Coalition, it's which is basically, it's not a choir, it's a movement. It's a and anybody can be a part of it. It's just a movement of what I like to call God chasers. It's people who just have an interest and a heart for worship, and who are not too particular about lights, glitz, fame, and all these other intricacies. But you just people who have a heart and a pursuit for God. So the whole idea behind it is to find people from different walks of life with different interests, different approaches to music, and find different songs and just have them coalesce in a general worship of God. And so next week we have a couple of people who represent that culture, but who will be, some of them you know, some of them you don't know, but all of them are amazing and all of them love Jesus. So, and the songs are really good. They're very simplified productions. It's lockdown stuff, so it's not big loud big bands things. It's just but we do hope out of that you will hear the heart of God, and hopefully they will be encouraging during these complicated times. And yeah, so that's basically what it is. It's the Worship Coalition collaborating with Xoli as an artist, and obviously there's a lot of content also coming from Lebo in the production he's working on. So yeah, it's a coalescence. We just putting people together who have a heart to pursue God. That's what it is. So if you want to be a part of it also, I don't know, is there a way for them to contact us? Oh yeah, through the page. If you feel like the movement speaks to what you are feeling, and where your heart is about the whole worship, and not just as Xoli was saying, that some people think worship is when people are crying and when it's emotional. But when you reach that place of knowing worship as more than just an emotional experience, but when it comes to a place where worship is a pursuit of God's heart for you, it's a pursuit of there's a statement in Ephesians 5, I believe, it might be the 10th verse, bear with me, I'm not good with physical addresses of verses. It says, and find out what pleases the Lord. And then there's a hymn that says it so excellently. It says, and so it's like once you get to that place where you see worship as more than just an emotional experience or a place where people cry and need Kleenexes, but it moves into a place where uh, worship becomes a pursuit of the heart of God, where the Bible says about David, I found for myself a king in the house of Jesse, a man after my own heart. If that's where your headspace is, I mean, would really be happy to again coalesce with you and meet up with you and find a way to kind of move out of the entertainment space and move into the pursuit of true worship. And I say this not to to kind of speak badly about people who have emotional experiences in worship, but at the heart of it, it doesn't start at the emotional place. The true heart of worship starts at with God at the center of it. I remember that classic song, Michael W. Smith, where he says, I'm coming back to the heart of worship, where it's all about you. And I think somehow our worship has excluded God, and it's crazy. It's like it's mind blowing that how we worship God excludes Him in our worship, and so it would be so amazing if we could, as a corporate unit of believers coming from different walks of life, not necessarily people who are not connected by style, but connected by an agreement in our theology about what worship is. Because most of the time we like to associate by, I like contemporary music, or I like dressing in red, and another one loves dressing in dark colors, or all those little things. But I think it's high time that we neglect our denominational divides and our preferences in music styles, and really just be connected at the heart of it by a pursuit for God. It's almost like finding new love when you're still trying to win points. You're trying to figure out what this person like. Does she like movies? Does she like whatever? And after all that tedious attempts of figuring out what they like, when you find it, you maximize on it. And when they don't like it, you get rid of it. And that's the exact same heart we are trying to encourage, about spending that kind of effort, trying to find God and trying to find his heart, to the degree and to the extent that if you find out he doesn't like it, you get rid of it. And you find out he loves it, you just maximize on that. And so, yeah, just if you really want to be a part of it, hit us up on Instagram and on Facebook. So yeah, it's the Worship Coalition. It's not a choir, it's not a church, it's not an organization. It's just a movement of people who are trying to, as Hebrews puts it, provoke each other to love. And so, yeah, that's what it is. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, same time, different people, beautiful songs. I hope you like it.
Yeah, and should people get personnel if we don't choose them? In reference, in reference to other episodes, I think we've touched this on other episodes. So I don't want it to come from my mouth. I want to hear it from you.
Again, I think just in the interest of total clarity, it's not a choir, it's not a singing platform. So we're not looking necessarily for people who are keen and focused on the singing aspect of it. It's a movement of people who want to pursue God. So if you're out, yeah.
Spotlight.
Oh yeah. So yeah. So if you're in the space and what we are saying resonates with you, you don't necessarily have to. If you reach a point where you come into the space and we don't put up your video and that offends you, it's a good opportunity for you to evaluate if your concern is worship, or is your concern being famous and being seen and being in an environment where people can hear that you can show us. And that's just the whole point. It's like we are not first singers. The singing is just a thing that's on the side that we're using as another instrument in the pursuit of God. We are just a generation of God chasers. I'm using charismatic language now. So we're just in a pursuit of God. This goes beyond just the singing. It goes to prayer. It goes to reading of the word. It goes to having conversations about who God is and what it means to be a worshiper of God above the singing, because the singing is like a little piece of the puzzle. It's probably less than 10% of what it means to be a worshiper of God. So we are not inviting singers. We are not inviting musicians. We are not inviting people who are going to show up and be like famous on the platform for their amazing gifts of singing. We're just inviting a generation of people who want to seek God. And if you happen to sing, that would be awesome. And we can just find a way to uh, collaborate with you in your singing ministry. But we're not looking for singers. We're just looking for people who wanna coalesce with us in a pursuit for God. I hope I'm not using complex language.
Yeah. And I think again to go back to the issue of the code that we sent the other day. I know that we had said that today you will give a solution to a cheaper, not really a cheaper, or let's say a more affordable um, route that people can take. We were planning to talk about it today when, if then the lockdown was going to be, lifted and whatnot. So now we can't share it today. We'll share it when we get to level 1. When we are closer to level 2, we will share it so that when we open and all of us are going back to our normal lives, we are the first people to call. You have to make sure that you call, because now we're going to give you an idea. The next thing we find someone now is sitting in his caravan at home, recording recording the idea. So let's talk about it on season 2, end of season 2. We are hopeful that by the time this virus would have been really would have curbed the curve, right? Is that how you say it? Flattened the curve.
Flattened the curve.
The curve, yes.
Yeah.
So um yeah, so guys, thank you so much for supporting us, and yeah, it has been long. I think how many episodes did we do? 12? Is it
This is
15?
our 12th one.
12th one, yeah.
Yeah.
And look, guys, we know that when we talk, obviously, some people talk from their emotions and all of that. We might have, so maybe said some things that didn't sit well with you. We apologize if it didn't sit well with you, and we are all in a journey, and we are hopeful that you'll be strong in the Lord, and you'll get the strength to recover if really it was that bad. But we apologize to those that we esibanyathelile kancane, but the show really is unedited, and we speaking our minds, and we share whatever that we want to share as we feel. And obviously we've been seeing comments coming from your side, um, and we thank you for always being there and communicating, and just sending texts and inboxes. And yeah, we truly appreciate. We thank you. When we do this again, please come through in big numbers. Let's make this happen. So obviously season 2, it's gonna be version 2.0 now. Well scripted, well prepared. We'll go through stuff with you. We'll have proper guests that would have been invited, and hopefully they will all agree to come in. And yeah, I'm just reading. Let me just read through. I'm reading through your comments as well. Tabo Moile says, "Wow, we love you guys, and thank you once more. We have learned a lot. Um, we've been receiving positive messages, guys. Thank you so much. And yeah, uh, on our poster, let me go back to our initial poster as well. Our first poster, guys, what it had said." Um, 15 more than 15 years of more than 50 approximate more than 15 years of experience. God has truly graced us to produce all these albums and all this music that you guys have been listening to, and we truly appreciate as well for supporting those artists and making sure that you buy their music and supporting them. And yeah, we are ready, guys. Are you working during this quarantine time? What's happening? Are you able to record singles? Are you able to do productions? If someone wants to record a single now during this time, are you able to work? I know that I'm able to work as if nothing is happening, actually, with full band, singers, everything. What's happening on your side?
Um,
Yeah, for
Lebo?
me, yeah.
What are you
Yeah,
able to do?
I'm able to do productions actually. Yeah. There's some that I'm busy with at the moment already. Some that just got released. Some are gonna be released in like a week or so. So yeah,
Okay,
we can still work. Yeah.
Josie.
Um, yeah, I'm I'm working right now. I'm not sure if I have the capacity to take on new projects though. But I'm sure, yeah, well, I think if it's absolutely necessary, if somebody has prayerfully considered it and they think we should do a single, but yeah, but yeah, I think at the moment, I don't know if I have a slot for any new work at the moment. Maybe after a month or so, I don't know. But right now, I'm still finishing up other things that have really been taking up a good chunk of my time.
Okay.
So yeah, we are able to work. We can put up a production, the whole thing actually, with drums and all. But yeah, I'm not
But
ready.
but but
Personally, I'm not.
but there's social distancing in it within it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's got other, yeah. But at the moment, yeah, don't call me yet. Call other people maybe
Okay.
after a month. Yeah.
Let's end it here. Josie, a lot of people have been asking about your shirt, and now I don't know what to say because I feel like it's Friday. Maybe you're meant to go to a traditional wedding today. Now it got cancelled before the before the distancing now. Because trust me, everyone is asking me about the shirt, and I'm trying to ignore it.
What's the question?
No, I think it's general. I just want to know what inspired the tradition today. And
I'm running out of t-shirts. That's what's going on.
emela mohatsa ba bone. Mohatsa ba bone.
No. I'm generally running out of t-shirts, which is why this lockdown was finished because now even the laundry mats are, yeah. So that's what's going on. It's not a special occasion.
Tabang Mavunga is saying season 2, I smell a wedding. Any comment?
From me.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Season 2 is very close. So I don't know what wedding can be smelled in this season because we are still under lockdown. And especially all things considered, musicians are not making money. So I don't know what kind of musician would even consider paying lobola in this climate. So, man of God, I think go and seek the face of the Lord about your your sense of smell. Maybe you, I don't know, if you could heighten your sense of hearing, and it would be better. I don't know the biblical position on smelling, but I personally, I'm not smelling anything that resembles even an engagement or a braai. Or
All right. Okay, let's
yeah,
end it there. Guys, we'll see you on Monday. It's still happening. The talks, we're taking a break. We're coming back with season 2. We're just planning it properly with all the guests that we want and all the discussions. So we're moving into season 2. But Monday we're seeing you. We're doing those live sessions and pre-recorded sessions and live sessions as well, mixed everything in real time. It's going to be amazing. Something is coming in a week's time, actually, before our season 2. I don't wanna tell you about it
yeah.
now, but before season 2, something hectic is coming, and it's coming just for 3 days. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. It's amazing. We won't let you down. So we'll see you on Monday. Monday. In fact, you might just see me alone without seeing these guys. So, are we seeing you guys Monday, or are you seeing me alone?
Well,
Or you guys are not available?
Don't worry, my brother. Don't worry.
Or you're
Let
always
everyone.
available?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I'll get them in. Don't worry.
Yeah, just get them. Yeah, Monday we're starting with the worship sessions, guys. Come through. Thank you so much. Thank you to LT Branding, Ocrio. Thank you to Basalia Media. Thank you to Crotchet. Thank you to everyone. We will see you on Monday, and then the talks are coming. Thank you. We are out.
Set up our own employee agency. Set up our own